I'm going to go ahead and do two parts to this video solutions. I'm going to do 1 through 5. Those are basic word problems where they're giving us a formula and they're giving us all the information we need so that one variable then is left. We substitute and then we solve for the variable that's unknown. Problems 6 and 7, however, are a little bit more difficult, so I'm going to do those in a separate video because it'll take a little bit longer. So you're given a list of 7 word problems that you have to solve using the formulas that are given to you. So let's start with number 1. The daily charge for a small rental car is C equals 18 plus 0.35x, where x is the number of miles driven. So A, if the car was driven 80 miles, what was the charge? So we have experience with this. We know that's our constant, so we have to pay $18 right from the start, and then we also have to pay for driving the vehicle. So the first thing we learned today is that we're going to write the formula down. The cost is $18 plus 35 cents for every mile. Okay, now we know we have to substitute in for one of those variables. Which variable are they asking for? They're asking for the charge, so that's C. So we have to know X, which is the miles, and it gives us that. So now we can substitute. The cost is $18 plus 0.35 times 80 miles. Since C is already by itself, all we have to do is do basically order of operations here. So C equals $18 plus 35 times 80 is going to be 240 plus 40, so that's going to be $28. And then we go ahead and add those up, and we get $46 for our total cost. B, suppose that a day's bill was $39. How many miles are driven? So again, we know we start with the formula. Cost equals $18 up front plus 35 cents for every mile driven. In this case, they're asking for how many miles. So that's the X. So we have to know C, and it says that the bill was 39. So this time 39 goes there. 18 plus 0.35x, and we have to solve for x. So that's just a two-step equation. So opposite of the number. So I'm going to subtract $18 from the total bill. So it leaves $21 for the mileage. And then do opposite of the operation. So divide by 0.35, divide by 0.35. And I'll do this without a calculator. So 21 divided by 0.35. We know we have to move the decimal over, so I got to move this one over, and then I'll bring it up and add my zeros there. So 35 goes into 210 about 6 times. So that's 0, 3, so that's 2100 exactly. And then I got to fill in this space right here. Obviously, that would be a 0. So in the end, x equals 60, and we know it was miles. Okay, number 2. The profit obtained for a company's product is given by P equals 25x minus 8150, where P is the profit, so that's how much money you make after you have to spend all your money making the product, and X is the number of units sold. How many units must be sold in order for the company to have a profit of $5,000? So in this particular equation, that's our profit. When we subtract that, basically what they're subtracting is the amount of money it takes to make the product as well, like for rent, for electricity, for employees, and so forth. Okay, and then it also costs $25. Okay, or I mean, that's what we would charge for each product. Okay, so I'm going to charge $25 for everything I make, and then I have to subtract the $81.50 because that's how much it costs to make it. So we know that we write our formula. Profit equals $25 times every unit sold. And then we're going to subtract $81.50 because that's all of our cost. So in this, it says how many units must be sold. So we don't know X, so the profit is $5,000. Let's pretend that's how much I have to make each month to, live in my house and have my car and, like I said in school, send my kids to school and so forth. So I have to make $5,000. So how many things would I have to sell? 25x minus 81.50. So we're going to do same change opposite. Okay, that's a two-step equation. So I'm going to add 81.50 on both sides, because I got to basically include the cost of everything in when I sell stuff. So I'm going to have to sell $13,150 worth of product. Each product is 25 bucks. So how many of those do I need to sell? Well, divide by 25, divide by 25. And the number of products you need to sell would be 13,150 divided by 25. So that goes in there 5 times. That's 125. Bring that down. That goes in there twice. That's 50. And that goes in there 6 times evenly. So I need to sell 526 units of whatever it is I'm making. Number 3. A salesman's weekly salary is based on the formula S equals 200 plus 0.10 times S, the small s, where S is the weekly or the week's salary in dollars. So I get that. That's how much I need to make or how much I get. And S is the weekly sales. So maybe I'm selling a clothing company and I'm making basically a commission. That's what kind of problem this is. So one week his salary was $410. What was the sales level for that week? So again, basically we have S is how much money I need to make, or my salary. Well, the 200 is going to be what I get up front. I make that no matter what. But then I make money by selling stuff. So I make 10 cents for everything I sell. Okay? Or actually that would be 10%. So my commission there would be 10% because change 10% into a decimal, you get 0.10. So my salary is 410. Well, salary represents the S, or S represents the salary. So that's going to be here. So then I'm taking 200 plus, and I don't know how many things I sold. Okay, what was the sales level? So I'm solving for a small s, so that's just a two-step equation. So I'm going to subtract 200. So that's my initial salary, what I make if I don't sell anything. So I make $210 by selling stuff. Well, how many things did I sell? Divide by 0.10. Divide by 0.10. Those cancel. So S equals, now, basically I'm dividing by 10. Okay? Okay, so, or I'm multiplying by 10 when I do this. So even though I can do it the long way, if I go ahead and put 0.1, I move this over one place, I move that over and bring it up, okay, 1 goes into there actually 2,100 times. So I had to sell $2,100 worth of whatever merchandise it was. I got 10% of it, which is $210, and then they gave me $200 for my salary, and that was what equaled the $410 altogether. Number 4. The volume of a box with a rectangular bottom is given by volume equals 120H, where V is the volume in cubic inches and H is the height. If the volume of the box is to be 1,140 cubic inches, what should its height be? So the first thing we're going to do is, since it's a geometry problem, is we're going to make the box. Okay, we don't know height. Okay, so we don't know this, but we do know that the bottom of that box, if we were to make it out, is actually 120, because remember, volume of a box is length times width times height. And so they're giving us the length and width. So they're giving us this number here and this number here being multiplied, and that equals 120 on the bottom. So they're helping us out a little bit. Okay, so now we just have to substitute. We know the volume of the box is 1,140, so that goes where the V is. And we don't know the height, but we know the rest of it is 700, I'm sorry, it's 120 H. Okay, so that's a simple one-step problem. If I just divide by 120, divide by 120, the height of my box will be, cancel out those zeros, 114 divided by 12, so that goes in there, looks like about 9 times, that's 108. Okay, bring down the 6, and then I can take that remainder and put it above the outside number, so I don't have to keep dividing. So that's really 9.5, and it talked about inches, so our label would be 9.5 inches tall. Okay, number 5. The volume of a certain cylinder with a radius 2.8 centimeters is given by volume equals 7.84, and then that right there is pi times h, where h is the height of the cylinder in centimeters. If the volume needs to be 25.088 pi, so we're not really changing it to 3.14 cubic centimeters, what does the height need to be? So basically, if we think back to our regular formula, volume equals pi r squared height, they're telling us pi and height are in the formula. The 7.084 is the radius, so they're giving that to us. If we were to take 2.8 and square it, we would be given 7.84. So they did part of the work for us. So now we just need to substitute the rest of the information in. So they're telling us volume right here, so that goes where the V is. Now don't forget that they're including pi in it. Remember from our work on volume of cylinders, cones, and spheres, sometimes our answers include pi. Equals pi on this side times the height. Oh, I'm sorry, 7.84 pi times the height. Okay, we need to get that h by itself. So what's attached to the h? It's the 7.84 pi. So again, we do opposite operation. I'm multiplying by 7.84 pi, so I'm going to divide by 7.84 pi. Divide this side by 7.84 pi. Okay, those cancel. And we have a pi on top and pi on the bottom, so those can cancel. So what we're really left with is the h equals, and then this, 25.088 divided by 7.84. Okay, so I'm going to move that over 2 places, move that over 2 places and bring it up. And then I can do this long division. So 784 goes into 2,508. Must go in there about 3 times. So that's 12, 1, 24, 25, 2, 21, 23. Subtract, I get 6, 5, 1. Bring down the 8. 784 goes into 1,568 twice. That's going to be 8, 16, carry the 1, 14, 15, and it comes out even. So 3.2, and what's our label? We're talking about cubic centimeters, so our height would be just centimeters.